Phyllis Scott.
Yeah, that's me.
Yes. If one Scott's not enough, we got two right now,
That's
which is
right.
awesome. Thanks for taking the time to be here because I know that people are probably winding up, towards the, coming up in December and stuff. So thank you for taking the time. I really appreciate it very much.
Sure, of course.
Yeah, and so it's interesting because I feel like we've known each other for a long time, but really it's only been a few months.
Just a few months. Yeah, yeah, we've gotten to know each other pretty well over the past few months.
Yeah, that's been great. It's been great. And you're with D2 Development. Now, what does the D2 stand for? Dinovitz.
Second generation Dinovitz. It's actually fourth generation, but my dad was the kind of the original quote unquote developer of the family. So yeah, yeah. So it's been great. Yeah, it's a old real estate family. Grew up in the business. Started when I was a little kid. My dad's building a bunch of houses and all the subcontractors, all my dad's friends in the summertime, and got to work with them. And grew up started from the ground up as superintendent and worked my way up through the real estate industry, mostly residential, tract and custom homes.
So you consider yourself at this point in your career a consultant. You basically will take on the project, oversee it, see what the challenges are, make sure it goes smoothly, bring in the right people, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. I work with a lot of owners of properties that have something that's either not being utilized properly. So maybe a property that has a couple of rental units on, they could put more units on there, or maybe they're doing an evaluation for the family. Somebody had passed away and they want to see what their property's worth, and like help people get entitlements. If we can explain what those are in a minute, or just a general kind of idea of what their property is worth on the open market from a different standpoint as a broker, more as a developer, to kind of work backwards into either land value or valuation of a property that's being underutilized.
Oh, great. Well, that's what we were talking about last time we had lunch. So I'm very interested to see what you had to say about that property in Toluca Lake.
Yeah, I do. We'll talk about that if you want to a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll after you've had a chance to take a look, I'd love to sit down.
Yeah.
Just hop on the call and talk about that.
I'll probably want to go out there and take a look at it. So we'll do that sometime.
We can do that anytime. Yeah. Just let me know.
Okay.
Sounds great. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one for you to take a look at for sure. And so how did the Palisades and the Eaton fire, how did those fires affect your business? Because it sounds like that they could really use a guy like you out there.
Yeah. So I'm helping a few people that have lost their homes and kind of doing an evaluation of whether they want to rebuild or not. I'm helping them with kind of recouping some of the remaining money. They might have gotten some money from their insurance company, but there's a bunch of smaller portions of the policy that they don't know about or require kind of third party look at to get that money. So I'm helping them with that. And then I'm also helping people with that have decided not to rebuild, but they have lots and what to do with them. Do we entitle it, and meaning do you get a set of plans and get it permitted and then try to sell it, or perhaps even build a spec house on there, or a speculative house where we go into a partnership and build out a house and sell it and make a profit on it. So there's a couple different options that I'm helping people with that, and it's been working out really well. And I bring in third party contractors. I do contracting as well, but I know a bunch of people that are better at it than me, that are doing it cheaper and maybe a little faster. But the biggest thing for me is getting the design right, helping people with the engineering and the soils engineering, all these different engineering things that you have to do to get it approved, and also value engineering. So it's one thing just to say you engineer something, but if it's engineered in too expensive of a way, I look at it and we modify it so to bring the costs down as well. So that's something that I do.
When we had lunch, I thought it was interesting because you were talking about how sometimes people are just overwhelmed. They're going, you know what, let's just sell it. And you partner with them. And I thought that was a really interesting model that could be beneficial to them because they're going to walk away with a lot more money if they go ahead and treat it like a spec house.
Exactly.
And then at the end, you crunch out all the numbers, you split the profit, and you're incentivized to come in and keep the numbers down too because it affects your bottom line. And so that just sounds That sounds like a really great model. That's something that I'm definitely going to be keeping in mind for down the
and
road.
moving people forward. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been great, and quite frankly, it's great to give back to people too. People just don't understand. They're in different businesses. They don't understand real estate
Mm-hmm.
and kind of this very niche market of building and construction. And there's my friend of mine used to say there's margin in mystery, and
Mm-hmm.
you have to be careful in there. Yeah, and you really need to pay attention to and stick to your lane. And this is definitely up my lane, and as it is for you, Scott.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, people that are outside their lane, it might be a professional, it might be an attorney, or an accountant, or whatever. I mean, I don't do taxes, neither do you. Uh, you know,
Right.
but leave the home building to the professionals, and hopefully someone that you can trust. And that's where this is important time that there's a bunch of carpetbaggers out there telling people and trying to get people under contract to build their house and do all these crazy things, and they really should take their time, get the plans done, have it bid out by 2 or 3 professionals in the construction, on the construction side, and then decide. Anybody who's taken a contract on face value is, I'm not going to say a fool, but probably should take a good look at it and make sure that they're getting 2 or 3 bids on it.
Yeah. Well, that's why it's good to have someone like you who can be an advocate for them
Yeah,
and kind of explain to them. Because me, even though I'm in the real estate business, the truth is, if I was trying to do a spec house, I would need someone like you. I understand the product at the end, and I understand how to market it and do that. That's what I'm an expert at. But when it comes to getting to that point, yeah, I'd be lost.
yeah,
I would.
it's hard. It's not easy to do, and it's I'm 35 years in this business, when literally working in it, but I grew up in the business, and it's a difficult thing, and it takes a long time to learn all the ins and outs of the business, as you know too. I don't want to pretend to be a broker, and I can imagine some of the things that you've seen and done and had to deal with, and now at the ripe old age of I'm 57, and Scott, I'm sure you're younger than me, but it's
I'm
it's a
not.
lot. Well, you look young. You got hair. That's the difference.
It's the light.
It's a light. Yeah, really well. Really, really does it. Yeah, does it up right. Anyway, so it's
Absolutely.
good. It takes that time to be seasoned in this business, and you have to see a lot of bad things, and learn how to correct them. And I think we've all kind of done that. And not that we know everything, but that's the
Mm-hmm.
great part now is I know I don't know everything, so I'm always going to be
Right.
yeah.
Well, the great thing is that you're surrounded by terrific people as well. So that's why with me, I think one of the things that makes me as valuable, more valuable to my clients is the fact that I know guys like you. I know great contractors. I know great landscapers. I know
Right.
great lenders. So that's one of my biggest values is knowing that what my lane is and how to surround myself with experts.
Yeah, that's great. It's great. And I think just meeting you and seeing how you operate too, it's great to see that you have those trusted people around you. It's great.
Yeah, yeah. I'm very fortunate. I always say that's my superpower is it's surrounding myself with great people
Yeah.
and get people that actually give a shit too. They're going to watch out for other
Yeah.
people.
And
That's what's important.
I think Scott Nell for president. I'm
Yeah, you don't want that. You don't want that. So so I know I'm assuming that you probably have some pretty crazy stories, especially of late with the fires and everything like that, or whatever you want to share. Give us a couple of your stories.
Sure. I mean, I have so many stories, just growing up in the
Mm-hmm.
business with my father. I remember, my dad built, Vista Point in Calabasas. And just a quick funny
Mm-hmm.
story. I was 14 at the time, and in the 80s, and my dad was doing the grading up on Vista Point on the second phase of it, and there was a line of about 35 tractors lined up, big D9 bulldozers and scrapers and all this big
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And I knew how to start them all. And so I went up with my friends at about 5:30 at night, and I knew that the maintenance guy comes about 9 o'clock at night, so we're going to run for a long time. But I started all of them.
Mm-hmm.
We started all of them up, and I got them running.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, all of them, and ran out of there. And my dad got the phone call, at 9:30 at night, that night from the maintenance guy, not on the cell phone. They didn't have cell phones back then, but we went down the payphone
Mm-hmm.
and called him. and I got my ass chewed out on that one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How many were there again?
There was probably 25, 30 tractors in a row, big ones. There's the big scrapers, 666 they're called. They got two engines, one in the back, one in the front. V12 big diesel engines. It was it's quite the scene. So it was fun.
Gosh, I wish I would have loved to have seen that in video.
Oh yeah, I know. Well,
the things we do as kids.
Yeah, I know. I'm glad we didn't have video because there's a lot of stuff that I wouldn't want to get caught on. That's for sure.
I look at my kids and I'm thinking, man, the things they do is so much. They're so much better than I was back in the day. I don't know what it was. I had this wild hair. I guess part of it, a lot of it, is because they couldn't track me on my phone because
yeah, there was no phone.
So there's a video of everything, and so when they do something, there's a good chance that we're going to see it. So I think they're on notice a lot more than we are.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but that's a good one. I'm not going to forget that one. I can hear the rumbling.
Yeah, all that. I think I remember a very interesting entitlement thing when I was growing up. My father had a big piece of property out in Santa Clarita, off Shadow Pines Boulevard, off the 14, and he bought it when I was young. I was probably 16 years old. Went through high school. He had this property, and it took about 10 years to get entitled for. It was 550 lots. And I actually wrote my senior thesis in college on it at USC on that project. And it got approved my senior year, in 1991. And I remember my dad said, "Hey, Scott, we got to go out there. There's an endangered lupin. It's called a lupin. It's a little plant. And it's called a lesser San Yanez Lupin. And
is it LOOP or how do you spell it?
LUPINE, I think, lupin. Anyway, so there's this little tiny plant, and if we have this plant on site, the whole thing's we're done. It's going to be it's a environmental area, a sensitive area, and we can't build on the property. And we were literally going out with magnifying glasses. And we were checking each one of these lupins because the one lupin had I can't remember, it was like a third leaf or a different kind of flower. And you had to identify what kind of flower it had. And we had to go out there in March when they bloomed. And this is like the last thing we had to do to check. And we literally, there was like 50 people out there on 500 acres checking with magnifying glasses to look to make sure we didn't have this lupin. It was the most crazy thing I've ever done. And we had millions and millions and millions of dollars outlaid. We owned the land outright. And, all the time that had taken to get, it was over 10 years to get this entitled. And so, and thank God it didn't have this specific lupin on it, and it got approved. And so that was kind of a crazy, crazy thing that happened. And what developers have to do to get things approved. Everyone thinks, oh, it's so easy. They make all this money, but you have to you have to go out millions of dollars and tens of years sometimes before anything happens. So that was an interesting scenario.
Well, that's crazy. I want to look up, see what a lupin looks like.
I think it's called a lesser San Yanez Lupin. I think that's what it was called. I looked it up before I came here.
All right. Back with you again, Scott. I think you got pissed off. You said, forget him, man.
Yeah, that's it. That's enough.
So the last we were talking about was the endangered lupin.
Yes, the lesser San Yanez Lupin. Correct.
Yeah, because that sounds like a disaster to have all those years and millions of dollars, and then that's what puts it at risk right there.
Yep.
And what a nightmare.
It had to do with after the survey, there's this environmental survey that's done by the third party company, and he said this is the area of this particular plant, and that happened in I remember it was in August that happened, and he said we have to wait till March to know if the plant's there, because it will come out after the rains.
Wow.
And we had to wait. We had to wait all that time, and it was ready to go to the county supervisor's office for approval, and we had to wait until that survey was done in March.
Gosh.
So
Well,
It's
I'm glad it turns out there weren't any there. It is a beautiful plant. I looked it up while we're down.
it is, and it should be saved. I get why they do some of that stuff, but at the same time, it's also, we wonder why housing's so expensive in California.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is one of the reasons why it is so expensive. So,
Absolutely. So, you have any other stories you want to share?
oh my gosh, I mean, construction story. Okay, I have a bunch of stories. So let's pick a couple. I have really crazy construction stories. If you want to hear
Mm-hmm.
construction stories.
Yeah, give me a
Uh,
crazy construction story.
okay. I remember being on a job. This is when I was a kid. I was 16, and I was working with my time, technically my godfather, who's a stonemason, and we were
Mm-hmm.
working up in Calabasas on a couple houses up there, and we were watching. We have another friend of ours is a lathing contractor and plastering contractor,
Mm-hmm.
and he had a guy out there, and I was talking to him, and he was laughing, and he was explaining to me how lath works. I don't know if you know what lath is, but it's the paper with the mesh on it, and it's for the
Yeah, okay.
stucco. So he's putting up the lath on the house and nailing it off, and he was talking to me at the same time, and he had his hand up on the wall, and he was nailing away with this nail gun. It's a stapler. It's a staple gun, and he's looking at me and talking to me, and he stapled his hand to the
Oh,
wall.
God.
Put two staples in his hand,
He
in the
didn't
wall.
get it. The first one. First one didn't register.
First one wasn't enough. First one was, I remember, two staples,
Mm-hmm.
and he had stapled his hand, and he was screaming. And I remember, freaking out. I went to my my godfather, the stonemason, and what does he do? He has a rock hammer. So he takes
Mm-hmm.
the rock hammer and he puts it underneath his hand, and then pulls his hand off the wall with the rock hammer, with the two giant staples in his hand.
Uh-huh.
And that was an interesting day. Yeah, very interesting day.
Gosh, that must have hurt so bad.
Yeah.
How big? How long was the staple? I mean,
The
how much did
staples
it?
are about inch and a half long, maybe a
Mm-hmm.
little less, because it's for to keep the plaster the lath on the wall. So yeah, it was
Mm-hmm.
crazy. Yeah, I'll never forget that. That was a very interesting day.
All right, what else you got? You have your
Uh,
stories are all over the place. It's really
I
awesome.
well,
It's
you're
a
in
lot of fun.
construction and in development. It's you get all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I remember my dad. Okay, this is a very interesting story. I remember my dad took me to, I was very young. I was probably 10 years old. And he said, Scott, you're going to grow up in this business and I want you to know everything. So he was going to take me to this big meeting at Bank of America. He was
Mm-hmm.
getting a development loan to build the first phase of Vista Point in Calabasas in 1976. And I think I
Mm-hmm.
was about 8 or 10 years old. And my dad said, hey, to my mom, Connie, put Scott in a suit and I'm taking him with me to the bank meeting. And she put me in a little suit from Sears. I remember the suit,
Mm-hmm.
and with the tie and the whole thing. And he took me to this bank meeting downtown LA. I'll never forget it. It was on, I think it was on Figueroa in one of those buildings. And all I remember is it had orange carpeting. Everything was orange. All the carpet was
Uh-huh.
orange. And I remember sitting at this big, huge table with all these bankers, and my dad was sitting there with me, and they signed all these documents and did all this stuff, and it was kind of an interesting, way to grow up, and
Mm-hmm.
really like in the business, literally. So yeah,
Uh-huh.
I mean, and he took me to meetings all the time when I was younger, all the way
Mm-hmm.
through till I was an adult. And I remember at times some people would be like, "Are you sure you want to bring your son into these meetings?" Yeah, he needs to
Mm-hmm.
know through osmosis. He needs to see this and know that this is how the business is and how it's done.
Sounds like a great dad.
He was a super
Mm-hmm.
great dad. He was very very encouraging. We
Mm-hmm.
learned through throw you in the deep end without floaties on, and just kind of threw you in the pool, and you kind of had to figure it out. So
Yeah. I remember with my son, who's now 41, he didn't want to go in the water. And so I remember saying, I'm going to jump in with you, so you need to hold your breath, okay? But I'm going to be with you. And I remember jumping in. So he's a tiny kid. He goes, no!
Yeah.
We go under her for a second. We go back up. And he looks at me and he goes, let's do it again. so it wasn't too traumatic. He was ready to go again. After that, yeah, he was good in the water moving
Yeah,
forward.
he did it the right way. Well, I got thrown in. So yeah, there was no holding me. You just throw
Yeah. All right. So listen, we always like to wrap it up with sharing something like a charity or a cause that is close to your heart. If you would mind sharing something, that'd be great.
I'd love to. I'm really big in helping people experiencing homelessness. There's a great charity in the Valley called About My Father's Business. It's she does a lot of outreach work in the Valley. Kathy Pluck is her name, and big supporter of hers. I really like the work that she does, and specifically in the Valley, helping people out that are just in a real dire straits. And she helps them with food, and is doing a lot of counseling now for them to help them get back off the street and get back into into society again. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really great, and she's an awesome person too. So anything you could give, it's about myfathersbusiness.org. They're on the web, and they're just a great charity. Every dollar goes directly into helping people. There's no overhead or anything on there. She
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, she's great.
She sounds like a very special woman. Thanks for sharing that, for sure.
Yeah, she's incredible. Yeah, and if ever you want to go out and check it out, I'd love to take you out. And this is the time of year too, and people are in desperate need, just with people literally freezing to death outside. It's crazy to think about that we live in such a temperate climate, but it drops down to 40, 45 at night, and people don't have anything.
Oh my gosh!
Freeze to death outside. It's crazy. So
I think it might be a good thing to be a family outing so the kids can see what's going on too.
Yeah, it's really great, and she goes to all these encampments, and again, just to help out. It's a good thing to do with your family for sure. Makes you appreciate what you have. That's for sure too.
I appreciate it very much. That's the first time I've heard about that, so appreciate the introduction to that.
Absolutely.
All right, I told you it was going to be quick and easy.
It's really, and that's great. I really appreciate the time too. It's really great.
Sure.
To see you more and all that.